Hey everyone, James here with Rokoko, and today I have another tutorial for you guys. This time we're going to go through Rokoko Studio and I'm going to show you how to use the filters that we provide to you to clean up your Smartsuit Pro animations. And so let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is open up a scene with recorded animations. If you don't have any and want to follow along, you can go ahead and click on this button right here. And we do provide a sample project for you with some animations that we provide. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. We're going to go ahead and use our animations that we have imported, and we'll just get started right here. So we'll go ahead and use take 6. So in order to open it, you just want to go ahead and double click it. And as you see, as soon as you open it, the animation starts playing and you can see what's going on. For the most part, it looks good, but you'll notice that there are some issues, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and teach you guys how to go and fix. So what I'll do is go through each filter individually, and I won't go in order of how they are displayed. I'll go in order of how they should be used in your workflow. And so yeah. Let's get started with the locomotion. So the locomotion filter allows for actions such as running or jumping or somersaults, basically anything that has your feet making contact with the ground. And as you can see here, as the locomotion filter is enabled, it's displayed down here underneath the timeline, and the green and blue bars represent your feet. So if we go ahead and turn on this gizmo, by clicking here, you'll see that our feet are now highlighted different colors. So the green represents your left foot and the right represents your blue foot. And you'll notice that in some areas, green foot is mostly highlighted, or the blue foot is mostly highlighted, or maybe both. And what this essentially means is that foot, whatever it's highlighted, is dominating in it's where it takes most of your body's weight balance. So for instance, if we go to right here, we know that the left foot is holding all of the weight balance because the right foot is in the air. So this is calculated correctly. However, you know, for specific section like right here, we see that both feet are on the ground. So the weight should be distributed pretty evenly. So we can go ahead and fix things like that, and this will allow for better weight control in your animations and allow for your feet to remain locked when they should be locked. So let's go ahead and use this and clean up this animation. And what we'll focus on is kind of just this beginning primary area right here. So as you can see, like there's some foot sliding and some feet jittering, and this will help solve those problems. So we'll go ahead and start here. We know all the way up until about maybe this point that both feet are on the ground. So we'll just go ahead and fix this. So we can adjust these sliders by just clicking on this keyframe and dragging it up to about this point. And we'll do the same thing for the down here. You can actually even click on a keyframe and then hit the delete key, and it'll delete the keyframe and combine them if there's another one right up ahead. And we'll go ahead and do that for this. And so now we should have both feet on the ground, and then right about here is when the right foot lifts. And so we'll make sure that this doesn't get highlighted anymore. And so all of the weight should be distributed on the left foot, and that should definitely be remained highlighted. So why don't we go ahead and process these changes, because you won't be able to see any changes until it is processed. So to process your changes, you just want to click on this button right here, and it'll go ahead and process. And now you can see now both of the feet are evenly distributed. There's still some jittering, but we'll go ahead and fix that with another filter in just a second. But let's mainly focus on this area right here. So there is some foot sliding here, and that's because of the weight distribution isn't properly calculated. So what we want to do is find out where the foot touches the ground, which is about right here. And let's go ahead and remove these keyframes. And what we'll do is just drag the slider back, because we know that the foot should be on the ground here, and then right up until about right there looks pretty good. So we'll leave the blue just right where it ends. We'll leave it that right there, and we'll also fix this one, because we know that if the weight is distributed on your right foot, that it shouldn't really be distributed on your left foot, especially if the weight is going to be on your back foot. So we're going to go ahead and drag the slider bar down, and once we do that, let's go ahead and process changes and see how that looks. So we'll go ahead and slide, and now the foot hits the ground and it stays back there, and your left foot picks up and it moves backward, and then the weight gets just distributed back to the left foot. So as you can see, just by doing that fixed the weight distribution, and it fixed that sliding issue that you had. So we can definitely start there, but let's go ahead and move to another filter that will definitely help even more. So by clicking on our filters button right here, we can go ahead and let's enable foot IK. And what foot IK allows for is snapping the feet to the ground. So it'll pull up another tool down here, and you can essentially set keyframes on where you want your the feet to really be snapped to the ground. And to add the keyframes, you just click on this button, and wherever you are scrubbed in the timeline, it'll add a keyframe. So it adds one here, and you can adjust the value. If you want it to be have less effect, you'll drag it down. If you want more effect, you drag it up. And so what we want to do is essentially just let's fix this this jittering in his idle standing animation. So in order to do this, we can go ahead, let's process changes again, otherwise we can't see. And now when you go through this, you'll notice that the feet are tightly firm on the ground and they're locked. And one thing to note with our foot IK tool is that if you go to the settings, you'll notice that there's a checkbox that says use locomotion keys. This allows for the foot IK tool to only be active on whatever foot is currently locked to the floor using our locomotion. So in this particular case, both of the feet are on the ground, so it's locking both of the feet on the ground. However, if you hover over this particular section, you'll notice that our left foot is locked to the ground and there isn't any jittering, so it's really handling the weight distribution perfectly. And then it'll do the same thing here. So it's really good to have to work with this tool and the Locomotion Filter because they definitely work hand in hand. And another thing to note with the foot IK is that it uses the pull down of your hips. So if you increase the pull down, it'll cause more knee flexing. So let's go ahead and change this to 0.5. And you'll notice how it just really affects the knee flexing on your hips. And maybe that's a little too drastic, but you know, if your animation requires the need for, you know, more realistic motion that requires knee flexing, you can definitely adjust that as well. But for this case, we'll just go ahead and leave this at 0. So that's good. And remember, always process your changes so that they take effect and you can see what it really looks like. So let's go ahead and go to the next filter. We have the treadmill, which is pretty self-explanatory. This allows for your character animation to be in a fixed position. So this is great for, you know, looping walk animations or climbing animations where if you don't want your character to move around in the space, you can go ahead and turn this on. We'll go ahead and process the change. And now when the character moves, it simulates the character being on a treadmill, so they're always stuck in this particular position. And when you export out the animation, it will export out like this. So this is great for game developers who need to create those animations that aren't driving your character around, you know, the world space. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll go ahead and turn this off for now. Process the change. Okay. And then the next filter that we have is our toe bend. The toe bend allows for your toes to actually bend when it hits, when it makes contact with the floor. But not only that, it also helps fix any feet sliding or going inside of the floor. So for instance, let's go ahead and find a particular location in this animation where the foot goes in the floor. And I think it happens maybe, yeah, right around here. I can zoom in just so you can see. But yeah, the foot is on the, it goes through the ground. And in order to fix this, all you need to do is just enable the toe bend filter. And then next time you scroll through it, it remains on top of the ground. And now this is a particular filter that doesn't need you to click on process changes. It'll just automatically do it without the need of processing the change. And so you can easily just enable or disable it. So when we disable it, we'll go ahead and go through again, and you'll notice the foot goes through the ground. So this is a very handy tool and very easy to use. You just enable it or disable it. And then our last filter that we have is our drift fix. And the reason why we decided to go with this one last is because we actually recommend that you go through all the other filters first when you're cleaning through your animation. And then once that's done, you adjust your drift fix if you're having any drifting issues in your animation, because this will allow for the best performance out of this particular tool. So what drift fix does, sometimes, you know, if you have an animation, your character might drift around with the recorded animation from the Smartsuit Pro, and if you don't, you know, want that drifting to occur, all you need to do is enable drift fix, and we'll go ahead and turn on the gizmo. And as you see, it shows the start and end position of the animation. So the way we have it now, the starting animation is back here, and by the end of the animation, they should show up right around here. And we'll go ahead and process the changes so you can see. Then we'll just go ahead and scrub through. So yeah, they end up here. If you don't want that to happen, you can easily just drag these right on top of each other, and now they'll start and stop right on the same position. We'll go ahead and process changes again. And as you see, the animation plays, and they should stop at the same, start and stop at the same position. Now you can always, you know, move this around. If for whatever reason you do want them to drift, you can do that and process your changes, and they'll start drifting. You can also be really precise if you click on the settings, and you can input your coordinates. So if you want the start position and the end position to be in the same exact coordinates, you can put in the same coordinates. So we'll go ahead and do that. And process change, and so they're both right on top of each other now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you go through all of these filters and use them accordingly, especially in the same workflow that I use them in, this will definitely help with fixing your animation so that you no longer have any feet slidings. Your feet won't go through the floor, and they'll remain properly balanced. So once you're good to go, the last thing that I'll show you is just the export feature that we have. Once you're ready to export your animation and throw it into like a game engine or anything, you can click on the export button, and we have the different formats that you can export it as: an FBX, BVH, CSV. You have your different FBX settings and versions. And lastly, you'll need to select the skeleton. And so we provide the Rokoko Newton as our default, but we also do have Maya Human IK, 3ds Max Biped, and Mixamo. And once you've set it all up, you just hit the export button. So that's pretty much it. I hope this helps you guys really clean up your animations and make them as best as you can make them. And I really do look forward to seeing what you guys are able to create. Thanks for watching, guys.